Comments from the public. Members of the public may address the board on any item within the jurisdiction of the board by submitting presentation requests to the secretary. Members of the public are strongly urged not to mention personnel by name and are reminded that they do not have immunity from legal action if personnel are named. The board may limit each speaker to 5 minutes with a total of 20 minutes per topic. People wishing to speak on items that are not on the board agenda will be called upon when that item is considered. People wishing to speak on items that are not on the board agenda will be called upon at this time. Since the board generally cannot take action on items not on the agenda, such items will be referred to the superintendent for handling. Clock, come on up.
I've got two topics I'd like to talk about today. There's no specific order as far as the magnitude of importance, but I will start with the one that kind of rings most personally for me, and that's in regard to what is known in the public realm as specialized healthcare services. These services are those by which are provided by a public entity. In our case, the public school system, to people with special needs, so anybody with a physical or mental handicap or behavioral disorder, whichever that may be, to allow for that person to engage in the process of education as close to an equal footing as somebody who doesn't have those disabilities. The root, I want to make it abundantly clear that my discussion of this topic is solely on my own behalf. I don't represent any persons, agencies, or whatever in regards to this topic. My first demonstration that I want to kind of go over is regarding the special education paraeducators. The special education paraeducators are hired by the district primarily to service the students. In most information that you read about the positions of paraeducators, it's stated, even within our own handbook, that their interaction with the students should be 95%, which kind of just lends to the magnitude by which their intentions are to be servicing students. The role of the paraeducator is primarily for educational purposes, to supplement and assist certificated instruction. So, I'm sure most of you are probably very well aware of this, but I just kind of want to go over it real quick. Is in a typical classroom environment, the teacher will start by giving a lecture, and then move from the lecture to actually helping the students one-on-one, doing questions and answers, clarifications, that sort of thing. Primarily, paraeducators should be, through collaboration with the teacher, giving additional information to the students to basically effectively increase the adult per pupil ratio. The exposure that students have to an adult who knows what the education objectives are for that given day. And that's also outlined. This paraeducator handbook is written generically to encompass all types. It doesn't specifically regard the processes of the special education paraeducators, but one thing I wanted to point out is in the handbook here, it says duties that may be performed instructionally, and this is just an example. I'm not calling into question the validity of these things, but it says the following set of guidelines is taken from Guidelines for Training, Utilization, and Supervision of Paraeducators and Aides, published by the Kansas State Department of Education, Topeka, Kansas in 1977. So needless to say, effectively anything that's in this may be fully and completely out of date. And, I can say that, it's my opinion that a lot of it is. So, this may be something that the district wants to consider revising. Now, where that lends into the process of, the special education paraeducators and the specialized physical healthcare services is the process by which those needs are identified, the process by which the identified provisions are delegated to individuals, and the process by which individuals are given the skills that they need to best perform those duties. And those things include such activities as diapering, students who are in wheelchairs, being pushed in a wheelchair. If a student has a disability physically, they cannot go to school without somebody dedicated to moving them physically. So, you know, any one of those things is, you know, falls under that guise. And at this point, it's been my experience through talking to paraeducators that they receive either little or no training on the proper procedures for these types of services. You know, it seems to me that the district has lost sight of the importance of adhering to the law that outlines the process by which these services are provided to students. And of course, the ramifications of that are legal liability for the school district. You know, circumstances where the law is not adhered to due to a lack of knowledge by the people who are physically administering that process, which, you know, can lead to legal liabilities, which means the district loses money through lawsuits. And I'm sure, I don't know the extent to which that happens, but I'm sure you know, it may be pretty frequent. You know, I have no clue. That's just speculation. So, you know, basically, I mean, I've got this whole blue folder is full of information about the process by which the services are administered, the process by which the, you know, training procedures are given to individuals who are designated to do those services. And, you know, just as a, I mean, this may sound a little abrupt, but just to give you kind of indication on, you know, what from a third-party perspective, you know, it may look like. In a situation where a student needs diapering, if a person is hired and not given training, it's almost as if the district is willing to allow anybody to do that. And, you know, for me, if I had a child that attended a public school, I would want to be able to rest assured that the people that are handling the services for my child were at the utmost professional level and performed by people who have been adequately trained. And you know, that's basically it for that portion at this time. And then,